Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me there?
No, it says it'll be at 6 p.m.
Yeah, weird. Oh, now it says end stream. If I end stream, what's that going to mean?
Does Billy have to
If I
reset
end
that?
stream, what's that going to mean? Oh, hey, okay, we're live. All right, I'm just testing something out.
Hey, okay, we're live. All right, I'm just.
Sorry about that. I just put a new microphone on here, folks. I see three hanging around there. I will be back in a few minutes. I just was testing my microphone out, so thank you very much. If I end this stream, wait a second. Hey there, Chris Wheatley here from Hot Tub University, and welcome back to our series of webinars we're doing. And today we're talking about the things to avoid when buying a hot tub. There's a lot of pitfalls out there. You know, the hot tub industry has always been, well, an interesting industry. There's always been a mix of really good brands and really reputable people, and there's always been a fair few shysters and sharks in the tank. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today is just those things you want to try and avoid doing or avoid getting caught up into when you're shopping for your hot tub. And the number one on the list is a COVID-related issue, because the COVID world has really changed hot tubs. One of the things that North America was lucky was we didn't have an influx of really low-end, Chinese-made cheap hot tubs coming in and flooding the market. And I don't say just China, although that's the market, the country right now that's producing a lot of the really lower end stuff, shall we say. And I haven't really seen a good one yet. I've heard rumors of a couple of good ones, but we are pretty insulated from that market because the cost of shipping to get those tubs into our marketplace was so high, especially with the time delays involved, that it wasn't profitable. Simple as that. The prices that in the very competitive North American market, the prices that hot tubs were selling for just made it not that big of an advantage to go outside of the market for hot tubs. Now, COVID has changed all that because of the huge, increase in sales in hot tubs in the last little while. We have seen a proliferation of really dodgy stuff coming into the marketplace. And one of the first things we're going to talk to you about today is brands. So there's a thing going on right now where guys are dropping new brands into the marketplace. These are brands that have never been seen in North America. In some cases, these brands didn't even exist a year ago. And what's happened is guys are basically going on Alibaba and buying containers of hot tubs, paying for the certification for North America, and then rebranding them and calling themselves a manufacturer. So we call them virtual manufacturers. And all these guys are doing really is buying containers of low-end stuff. They're buying those tubs. You go to Alibaba right now, if you want to buy a low-end tub, and frankly, I don't think you should, because they fall apart, they break, and they will cost you a fortune down the road. Forget buying it from these guys. Just go to Alibaba and buy one. You buy it for $2,500 or $3,500 for a 6-person, 2-pump tub with 40 jets and all the bells and the whistles. Now, again, I don't recommend you do that. I think that's an absolute nightmare scenario. Whether you bought it locally here and it's that kind of product, or whether you shipped it in from China yourself, typically those products are going to fail. They're going to have a high failure rate. You're going to end up. I got a guy in California right now that we just helped buy a swim spa for, and this guy is cutting up a swim spa that he bought 5 years ago, literally having it recip sawed apart. 30 grand, I think he paid her. So the good one was 40 grand. He saved 10 grand. He bought this cheap one, no name brand. So when you go into a retailer store, ask them how long they've been carrying the line of spas that they're selling right now, because what's happening is, because of the bonanza, it's like a gold rush in the hot tub industry. If you're a hot tub retailer right now, you've just had the best year you've ever had, and you've made a stack of money. And all of a sudden, your supplier can't give you hot tubs. And you're like, what? I'm going to miss out on this bonanza because my supplier can't sell me hot tubs? So they're scrambling around and they're buying whatever they can get their hands on. Now, not everybody's doing this. Your reputable dealers are staying away from the goofy brands, but you'll have loads of guys, you'll go into the store, and the number one question, the number one thing out of your mouth when you walk into a store right now to buy a hot tub anywhere in North America is, how long have you carried that brand? And if they haven't been carrying that brand for 2 years or more, run away, because the chances are very high that this is not even a brand they really love or recommend. If they weren't carrying it pre-COVID and they're carrying it now, they're carrying it for one reason and one reason only, and that's to make money on them. And that's not really a good thing for you. Manufacturer names. Guys, there are more new manufacturers that popped up in the hot tub world in the last year and a half than I've seen in 10 years. And most of them aren't real manufacturers even. So what they've done, again, is they're just buying in containers of tubs. They're paying for the approval, and they're rebranding that tub as something else, and they're claiming to be a manufacturer, and they're selling it to retailers. So these guys are going to Alibaba, buying these tubs for $2,500 or $3,500, selling them to retailers for $5 grand. Retailers are selling them to you for 10. It's a gimmick. Go to Alibaba Direct if you really want to buy that kind of crap, but again, don't. So how long has the brand, if you got a retailer and he's got a new brand and you're not sure about it, check online, find out about the brand. If you can't find any information about the brand that's any older than a year old or 6 months old, run away. It's one of these knockoff guys. It's one of these virtual manufacturers. These guys are not really manufacturers. All they do is rebranders. And by the way, it's Epic right now. It's everywhere. I am seeing 2-3 new brands a day popping onto the market sometimes. It's just crazy. So that's the number one thing to look out in the hot tub world right now. One thing not to do when you're buying a hot tub: don't buy an unknown brand. Don't buy a brand from a retailer that has not carried that brand for a long period of time, because again, this is just fill that they're thrown in the pipe, and they know there's going to be fallout down the road, but they're willing to take that hit, for the fast buck right now. And long term, it's going to be a nightmare for you. The other thing is, these virtual manufacturers are going to be gone. By November, these guys are going to start packing up and leaving, and there's going to be nobody here anymore. And retailers and you end users are going to be left holding the bag for the stuff that's being dumped in the marketplace, because we're seeing a dramatic decline in search terms for hot tub related searches on Google across the board. We monitor all the search engines and what's going on and who's searching and how many search terms are being used. And I can tell you right now, the southern U.S. retailers are already starting to feel the decline. It is slowing down and slowing down fast. The number one commodity in Texas right now is a plane ticket. Nobody gives a shit about their backyard anymore. So we're really seeing the market starting to cool a little bit. And as soon as it cools and the prices get competitive, all these brands that are coming in from out of the marketplace are no longer going to be viable, and they're just going to pack their bags and run away with your own money. So what else are you going to watch for when you're buying a hot tub? Well, if you look at the cheaper hot tubs in the marketplace, one of the things you can look at right away is the weight of the hot tub. Now, this isn't going to tell you everything about the hot tub, but if you look at the dimensions of the hot tub and you look at the weight, you're going to see there's dramatic differences from brand to brand. Now, we actually have a calculator that takes everything into account. So it takes the surface area, depending on how much molding is in the shell. It takes the weight of all the pumps and the pipes and all of the jets and the fittings and the controls and everything, the framing, depending on what type of framing they're using, and the skirting, depending on what type of skirting. But you can get a rough idea of how good a shell construction is on the weight. So we look at some of the top end tubs in the 7x7, 8x8 mark. They can hit 1,300 pounds for a really high end tub. We see some of the crap coming in at 600-700 pounds. That's resin. Resin is bloody expensive. You're talking $1,000 worth of resin that's not been put on these hot tubs. The shells are thin, they're falling apart. So take a quick look at the weight, and don't buy avoid tubs that have got really low curb, drop weights. And by the way, as we're seeing this, man, lots of guys are changing their weights on tubs, because we've been doing this for a while now. And with 1 million people coming to Hot Tub University for advice, people are listening to what we're saying, and they're if they're tricking people, they're figuring ways to trick them that way as well. So what else are you going to try and avoid in the hot tub world? Lots of jets. I know it sounds counterintuitive. You're out shopping, and we live in this world where more is better. I mean, we've been brought up on that whole idea. If you've got three is good, but hell, if you got 5, that's better. Hot tubs is not. When you got a tub, if you look at your cheap tubs, 70 jets always. They've always got this big jet count, and so you can, shopping around, you're going, this has got 2 pumps and 40 jets, and it's expensive. And this one's 70 jets and 3 pumps, and it's less expensive. So I must be getting ripped off over here. Little jets are $10. They're cheap. The little ones could be like $7. So you put you put 100 jets in a tub, big deal. It's $1,000 worth of jets. They don't need big pumps because they're really low flow. They just put a tiny little stream of water. It feels like being poked with a sharp end of a pencil. When you're looking at tubs, don't look for lots of jets. Look for size. Big jets matter. Little jets don't. Little jets are gimmicky, cheap jets. They don't do much. They're decent, but if you really want high-end massage and you're looking for therapy massage, look for don't get sucked into the idea that a lot of jets or a lot of pumps is better. And the reason I say pumps, by the way, is the efficiency with water pumps drops off dramatically with the size of the pump. So the bigger the motor and the pump assembly is, the more efficient it is. So you're way better off to have a couple of really large pumps with some diverter valves to move the water around than you are to have a whole pile of smaller pumps. And keep in mind, you can't have 4 pumps and not be smaller than 2 of the big pumps, because all tubs run at 50 or 60 amps, and they're all, running similar current draws. So, if all of a sudden we're swapping 2 pumps out and putting 4 in, those pumps have to be, close to half the size of the original pumps. So that's another thing to look out for. Chemical reduction systems. The truth is, man, everybody shopping hot tubs right now, their hot button is, give me a miracle chemical reduction system. I want something that's really easy and lovey and safe and natural. And yeah, that's wonderful. And there's great products out there. Look at the aftermarket stuff. Don't make your buying decision based on friggin' saltwater systems or AOP or UV or ozone or any of those things. Now, by the way, none of those systems are terrible. But all those systems are going to do is help manage that really easy part of hot water chemistry, which is the living organics. And that's already a solved problem. You can handle that with very low levels, in fact, drinking water levels of chemicals. So when you spend all this money on a salt system or on an AOP system or any of that stuff, all it's really doing is helping with the easy part of the equation. You're still going to have problems with the hard part, which is soaps, lotions, detergents, all that. And none of those onboard systems do anything for that end of the equation. So the next thing, avoid bells and whistles. Stereo systems. Honest to God, the #1 failure point on hot tubs is stereos. They don't last very long. Generally, they don't sound very good. They're very expensive. You can spend $1,000 on a hot tub stereo system. Man, you can buy like really good quality networked Bluetooth systems now for $500 that are going to kick the shit out of a hot tub, and they're going to be very good quality sound, and it's going to sound a little better. So watch out for the gimmicks, man. Anybody telling you friction manifolds, free heat, there's a great one. Avoid any of the, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. You got a guy using a little bit of insulation. He's got a magic story, little fairies that make free heat in his tub or something. Gimmicks. Stay away from the gimmicks. There is nothing in the hot tub industry, nobody in the hot tub industry has anything that is fundamentally next level. Okay, this is not rocket science, guys. We are looking for simple things in this world. We are looking for reliable shells, reliable, easily sourced parts, and that's going to bring me my next one. We're looking for good, reliable, integrated plumbing systems that aren't going to leak. We're looking for, good jetting and good pressure systems. So probably my next biggest one is proprietary parts. Do not buy a hot tub that has a proprietary parts list. So proprietary parts are when a manufacturer goes and has a part made for his tub that he can control the distribution and pricing on. And if you want an example of what proprietary parts did to the industry, just look at our appliance industry, where we used to have washers and dryers that would last for 20 years, and now they last for 5 years, and they're not worth fixing, and the part is ridiculous. You pay $700 they wanted for a circuit board in my dryer. Man, an Arduino board could run that thing for $50. So proprietary parts is not about making a better product ever. Everybody out there that's doing proprietary parts, Watkins, one of the biggest guys doing this, Arctic Spas, these guys are making parts that they have intentionally built. They're not as reliable as the good parts, and they've done it to make a corporate revenue stream. It's a fantastic business model. You sell the tub to the customer. Every time the customer needs a part, they cannot go to the open market. I've removed your right to competitively shop that product. You need to come to me, the manufacturer, because I'm the only guy that can get you that part. And that means I've got you by the short curlies. That means you're paying whatever I tell you to pay, and you're paying it for life. You look at all the proprietary parts, there's none of them out there that are outperforming the good OEM stuff. So be careful about proprietary parts. Definitely something to avoid. Gimmicky insulation systems. Guys, just look at the regulated industry. Look at the house building industry in northern climates, cold climates. R value is king. You can't get a building permit in the northern states or Canada without having a certain R value. R value is the ability of a system to contain heat within it. If someone's got Mylar and they're going to tell you they're using it because spacemen use it, they're not. They're using it because it's cheap. It has an R value of 3. It was basically banned in the housing industry in the 80s, and now it's resurging in the hot tub industry as being which is a completely unregulated industry, as being some new miracle insulator. Insulation is all about not big air spaces. You'll hear guys talk about big air spaces. Oh no, it's like a thermal pane window. We got the insulation here and the insulation here, and all that air in the middle where we should have put insulation is now magically insulation. It's not. Thermal pane windows don't have air in between them. They've either got a gas injected in or they're vacuumed, so there's no air in between them. Insulation is about trapping small pockets of air so that the air can't transfer its temperature to the next pocket of air. So when we use like a loft insulation or a foam insulation, we're creating barriers to the air travel, so the air can't transmit its heat through the other pockets of air. So when you got a big open space of air, it's not insulation. It's friggin' air. It was free. That's the only reason they did it. It was cheap. So don't buy hot tubs that avoid hot tubs that don't have a good insulation system. When we're talking about an insulation system, make sure they're not using a high density foam. Guys will try and talk you into high-density foam being better because it's higher R value. And although it is true when it comes out of the gun, it's not true after a little bit of time because it goes through this thermal drift and decreases in R value over time. Plus, it impedes access to your plumbing. You really want to be careful. about doing that. So one of the things to make sure that you're, good insulation system, you want a good, soft, open-celled foam, something that's easy to removable. And that way you're not going to have a hard time, repairing leaks or determining where a leak is. If you've got a high-density foam system, you're going to have a nightmare because it doesn't, it won't absorb water. So if it leaks somewhere, the water wiggles through the foam. It might be leaking in one corner, it might be coming out in the other corner. So it's a nightmare to find it. You got to get in there with a hammer and chisel to knock the stuff apart to get at it. It's a real nightmare. So, again, avoid high-density foam. Make sure you're looking at a good soft foam. Well, what else to avoid in the hot tub? And in general, upgrades. Most of the upgrades aren't really worth it. Silent flow circulator pumps. It's one of the big gimmicks going on right now. Guys put these little tiny pumps in, and the pitch is that it's going to clean your water all the time. So your water is going to be somehow magically cleaner. It's 100% filtration, so it's going to filter all the water all the time. It's crazy. It's just silly. So these little pumps only filter a tiny amount of water, and it takes them about 24 hours to filter what a high-speed filter pump would do in 4 hours. So it's not filtering any more water. And the idea of 100% filtration, by the way, is bullshit. The only way you could have 100% filtration would be to filter the water out of the tub into another vessel. And then when all the water was out of the tub, you pump it back into the tub. That would be 100% filtration. That's not how filtration works. People talk about bypass filtration and pressure side and everything else. It doesn't matter. All filtration works the same way. It sucks water in through it and it removes debris, which is all it does. And then that water goes and mixes with the dirty water again. But that's okay, because guess what? As it does it again and again and again and again, after a very short period of time, all of the debris is out of the water, and it doesn't really matter. So circulator pumps, again, I like to avoid them. That's not a critical one for me, but they do tend to fail, so you tend to spend a fair bit of money on them down the road. They don't do any better of a job. The only application where they really have some value is if you're on an elevated structure like a deck, and you want it dead silent so you don't get resonant frequencies traveling into the frame of your house, because your deck's framed onto your house, and sometimes you can get these resonant harmonics that will build up, and you can get some weird ghost noises, or it can really amplify the size of it. Anybody putting it on the ground, stay with a good solid two-speed pump system, and that should be it. So there's more things out there, but those are the key things. So again, just to reiterate, make sure the brand, that's the number one thing, is new brands. Stay away from new brands. It is Chinese junk and low-end crap that people are private branding and dumping in the market. If your retailer has not been carrying the brand for over a year or more, stay away from it. It's a fill brand that they're dropping in because they can't get the brand they like. Garbage, loads of it. And by the way, these guys are all gone soon. So stay away from that. Stay away from light tubs that show up light on the weight scale for their size. Again, an indication that the shell might be thin. Stay away from proprietary parts. Stay away from cheap, insulation systems that are about magic and not about logic. Our value, our value, our value. So anyways, just a quick synopsis there on things to look out for. We're going to take some questions. So we got a few people online. Anybody's got any questions there we can answer for you now? I got Tim Ackerman here. New Arctic a couple days ago. Alkalinity 200, pH 8.5. Told to slowly add pH down for a couple of days. Thoughts? Yeah, so at 200. Yeah, so your alkalinity is high and your pH is high. Kids peed in your tub, probably, dude. So that's usually what drives your alkalinity up. It's rare. So yeah, it's good advice. pH down for a couple of days. Once you get your pH into the okay range, go at it again. You'll find that alkalinity will naturally drop over time. So that should be something that you can deal with there. And I don't know, man, that seems to be about it today, which is not bad because it's a hot, sunny day out there. So we might just call this one an early one. And if nobody's got any other questions, that's about it for today. So Chris Wheatley, Hot Tub University, things to avoid when you're shopping for a new hot tub. Thanks for your time, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with another topic. So, feel free to join in. Also, take a look at our private buyer service. We've got a couple services on the system now. If you're at Hot Tub University, there's always the free comment section where we'll happily give you advice and help you out for nothing. If you need more in-depth advice, you need to start, putting a lot of man hours into it. We've got a consult service where you can have a phone consultation with us. We've got a evaluator that we can give you like a 2-page printout of any model of hot tub you're looking for, detailed down to the shell construction and what kind of materials are using in it and why it's good and why it's bad, plumbing systems and how the jets attach and how thick the plastic is and the type of piping and how it's attached. It really goes into detail, and you get that for any brand of hot tub, any model. So you can get it right down to a specific model. It even has a performance evaluator that gives you some insight into how that's going to work. And of course, private buyer service. Man, popular. We are buying so many tubs. I keep upgrading how many we're going to buy this year. I started out saying we're going to buy 500 tubs a year, and then we were saying we're going to buy 1,000, 2,000, and 2,500, and now it looks like we're probably going to buy about 3,000 hot tubs in the next 12 months for customers. And as this market gets more competitive, that buyer service has even more value. And again, we are seeing numbers decrease. We're seeing search terms decrease. Expect prices to come down a little bit in the next little while, and expect availability to still be ugly for probably another 10 months, maybe 9 months, until it starts getting a little better. So Colin, should I wait a year or so before buying a tub? It seems COVID has inflated prices, and absolutely COVID has inflated prices, but we're already seeing pricing come down in a lot of markets. So a lot of that depends on where you live, Colin. Again, if you hit us up on the Hot Tub University and just ask the question, put your zip code in, what we'll do is we'll search your area, we'll get a gauge of what the pricing is doing in your area, and we'll see if we can find you something. I wouldn't say you had to wait a year to buy a tub. If you're willing to wait, till the fall or winter for delivery, there's some good deals out there still. So again, depends on area, and it depends on area more than anything. So I don't know. Yes, definitely shop anyways, but hit us up on the site and we'll check your area for you. So other than that, guys, I think that's going to be an early wrap today. I appreciate all your time, and happy hot tubbing.